Welcome to the NGP Trials and Tribulations series. My name is Nora Nauss.
And I'm Rinaldi.
So to start, I got to know you a little bit before your second stint in Europe, but what has your path been to where you are now?
It's been a long and difficult path. Okay, I don't come from a traditional horse family, so I don't have a stable to go to for my own or something like this. And I always had to go get a riding job. I even worked as a groom for a long time. I just worked my way up. And after I left America when I was 23, I think I got a job to go to Europe. I worked at Ashford Farm for a while. Really good experience. Got great atmosphere on some good horses. Really enjoyed my experience out there. And I stayed there about 2.5 years. And then I kept thinking, I know there's more for me. So I kept thinking, and I left my job without actually having a plan. And I don't regret a second of it. At the time, it was incredibly difficult to figure out what I was going to do. But now, looking back, I think I definitely took the right path. It was tough, but made my way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think how ambitious you were and having that payoff is really awesome to see, and aspiring for me coming up kind of in a similar kind of situation as you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't come from a horse family. None of the people in my family ride, so kind of a similar situation. So it's nice to see, it can be done.
It can be done with a lot of tough work. And when times are tough, for me at least, when I get low, I get really low. At the same time, you just have to remember your goals and ambitions, because that's what drives me to do better every day. Because when you start to look down and you are in a bad place, it's really hard to get out of it. So you have to really push every day to work towards those goals.
Yeah, for sure.
What are your plans and goals that you would really like to achieve in your next step in your career?
So I'm really looking to become a professional in the sport. So I am working with Team Wells and with Andrew to kind of build a satellite for myself underneath them, just for the bigger orbit of that, use that to support myself. And I think I can really take advantage of using NGP also to support my next steps in this, that I don't have to just start my own business and be all out on my own, and it can feel really overwhelming. So NGP can kind of help reel that in and have a bit of a path for me to be able to do that, and be able to start my professional career without having to build it all from square one, and I can have the support of everyone at Team Wells building under that, and also everyone within NGP to really support and guide me through my next steps in my career.
Yeah, and what I love about that too is that, you and I are quite similar in a way. We come from really similar backgrounds, so I find it also great that we can both be intertwined in a way, now being part of the same team.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Always getting to bounce things back and forth with each other when you're struggling. I could try to guide you, or anybody else on the team also. We all go through similar situations in the end, highs and lows. So I find it really important that we can all have each other's back.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not always just about the horses too, like what you say of getting in a low point, then I have a lot of people I can turn to for advice in all different scenarios, and have, a friend, or maybe, like you said, someone that has a bit of a path similar to mine, so it feels less out there when you're asking for advice too.
Because in the end, the horses are the easiest thing to deal with.
Yeah,
everything else around you.
Yeah.
You have to deal with so many different things, people, paperwork, this, that. The horses, I find, are the easiest and most enjoyable part of the day. Everything else is actually what takes the most time up. The horses are that little bit of extra bonus.
Yeah.
So.
So you kind of had to start your own business and all that kind of stuff. So what intrigued you about NGP for supporting that?
It was actually a really funny story. So I had just left my job in Belgium, and within the same week, they had actually just started doing social media posts about NGP, and I thought, how's that for timing? What a crazy coincidence. So I thought, I gave Andrew a call right away about it, and we talked a while about it. Also, I spoke to Sean Crooks about it a bit, and I just wanted to get a feel for what their visions were, and their visions really lined up to what I want to do. I want to be really successful in sport and also business as well. For me, sport, I would like to be at the top of my ideas, and I always had really big goals. So for me to be a part of such a big team that also has the same goals as me, I find super important. And there's nothing else like it, especially in North America. Everybody either has owners or sponsors, these types of things, and okay, they're very hard to come by. And at the same time, now what they've created with NGP to bring a whole new group of investors, also for a nice group of riders as well, and not targeted to one specific rider. You have maybe an owner or a sponsor, and they have one rider. They support this rider, but I find it really nice that everybody can be involved in the bigger picture, and we all have the same goals at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very community aspect of it.
Yeah. I actually am curious to know what your ideas about learning about NGP as well.
Yeah, I think, being in the barn with Andrew, I kind of got like the first seed when it was planted in his mind of making this. So I've been lucky enough to kind of follow along from the beginning and kind of the idea behind this, because as I was having those conversations with Andrew about starting my own thing as like a satellite within, under him, was kind of like, how is it possible to make this happen? The sport has gotten very expensive and hard to build something for yourself, especially coming from not a horse family. So, I mean, when I heard the idea, I was like ecstatic. I'm like, this is so cool. So I think it's been really cool to see it develop, and the changes that have been made to continue making it better. And it's so cool because I hear all these ideas. I'm like, that never even crossed my mind, but like, this is really going to be so amazing and so beneficial for so many people like ourselves.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And okay, it's also a really, really great kind of add-on to what you're trying to create yourself as well. Me with my blooming starting business, it's a really good addition to what I'm already trying to achieve, and at least then I'm not completely on my own. In the beginning, it was really tough because I had to learn a lot of hard lessons, and I still am every single day. It's not been so many months now, so you're kind of figuring it out as you go, but at least now I have a good team that I can go to with any problems or ideas that I have, and just to know that I have somebody behind my back.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with us both being from the Midwest, I'm wondering, how did you kind of go about getting out of there and working more in Europe and all of those things?
So I come from a really small town in Wayne, Illinois. Actually, I came from 5 minutes away from the hit Chicago Horse Show is at Lamplight there.
Yeah.
So I grew up riding there. I was doing pony club. I did fox hunting. I did everything imaginable that you can get yourself started into. I just fell in love with the horses. And then my biggest step then in my junior career was moving to Alex Janes when I was 14. He really, really skyrocketed my junior career. I had one nice horse of my own that I could compete a bit in the high juniors and stuff like this, and he won a lot. He was a really, really cool horse for me at the time. And then I was starting to get a lot of catch rides, so I would ride for a lot of well-known trainers, hunters, jumpers, equitation. And I always knew that was what I wanted to do, so I actually left high school, started to do it all online. So I was really into it, and thankfully I had my parents' support that they allowed me to do that. And then when I was 18, I took a job offer at Helena Stormans in Germany. I was actually through a mutual friend of mine. They introduced us, and they described the job to me. And then the next week I had booked a plane ticket and off I went. It was really scary because I had never done something like that before. I was always very independent, but never enough to just go to a foreign country on my own and take a job with, at the time I didn't know the people either. They had a good reputation, of course, but I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So I ended up staying there nearly 4 years in the end. I had gone there, like speaking to them about it. We can stay 3 months, see how it goes. We never even had a conversation about it after the 3 months. I rode quite a few good horses from them, got to jump on some Young Rider Nations Cups as well. So I got a lot of good opportunities out there, jumped a few globals on Helena's clients' horses, produced young horses at the same time. So it was a bit of an all-arounder. And then at the end of my time there, I got a good opportunity, again through a mutual friend of mine, that I got an owner from it. They had 2 good horses at the time. And it was from a family friend back where I'm from in Illinois there. And I didn't realize at the time how everything was connected. Things happen quite naturally. And so then I came back here. I took my time with the horses that I was given. And then by the time Wellington came, I actually jumped my first 3-star Grand Prix. I'd never even done it before. I had, I think, 2 down in the night class, and I was ecstatic. I thought I was on top of the world. And then it started to progress from there. I then jumped 1 4-star Grand Prix out in the field. Clear, I was 4th. And then that was my real boost of confidence. And that kind of trusted belief in myself. Okay, yes, I can do it. And all my hard work is starting to pay off. And then I got chosen also for a 5-star Nations Cup in Mexico. I'd never even jumped a 5-star before that, so it was really intimidating, really good experience. I really enjoyed it, and just kept going through the whole summer. And then I was at the same time then started to collaborate with Andrew here, and he presented some nice horses for me to ride, and we were doing a bit things together. It was very nice alongside my owner. At the same time, I was also catch riding for a few other people, just hustling where I could. And then I did that for about 2 years, I think. And then Ashford Farm came along, offered me a very good job in Belgium. So it took me a while to want to do that, but again, I really wanted to get more experience in Europe and really gain that experience at quite a high level dealing stable. And then I really enjoyed that. So then I found, after about 2.5 years there, I thought, okay, really want to come back to America. So that's when then I started to have thoughts of what I could start to do. And I had met many good people over the years who would also be willing to help me out. So then I got the idea. I always wanted to start my own business. I thought I would maybe wait a few more years, but I just jumped right in, and here I am.
Yeah, that's so cool. And
Yeah.
I think too, like all the opportunities that kind of arose that you didn't necessarily plan out. Like I'm gonna go here and here. I think that's really cool too, because I'll say, like for me, I'm still at the very beginning parts of my professional career with this. And I think sometimes it can be like, okay, what am I actually going to do, but opportunities do come about, and I think you really made the most of them, and it really worked out, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I tried. And I'm really curious how you got started, actually. I don't think I know the story.
So I started riding in Minnesota. I went on lesson horses and just kind of, learned more of the horsemanship aspect of it for a while. Didn't just rode whatever lesson horses they had at the barn. And then I first got into the jumpers in 2019 when I half-leased a horse over the summer. And then after that, finally convinced my dad to let me get my own horse, and then kind of just went from there. I showed in some of the junior jumpers kind of working up. In the Midwest, it's not quite the same level. The Grand Prix in the Midwest are kind of 1.35 m. So I did some of the Prix there, and then moved to Andrew, and then went up from there. I worked into doing some national Grand Prix and up to like the 2-star level, starting to do some FEI and just the higher junior jumpers, as well as starting to work with the younger horses. So It's been really awesome.
Whole different world coming
It
from the
is.
Midwest, isn't it? I mean, when I moved to Alex Janes, we were still in Illinois at the time because I think it was over the summer, and then we were planning to come to Wellington. My God, my eyes blew up when I came here. I couldn't believe what was in front of me. It was like I was in Disneyland.
Yeah.
I was like a fangirling everywhere that I went. You know, I always looked up to all the top riders in America. That's like the BZ Maddens, Laura, Kraut, McLean, these types of people. So when I would see them in person, my God, it was a whole different world. I was totally starstruck.
I said the same thing with Taylor and Gabby. I was like, wow, I was so wide-eyed coming to Wellington. Like, it was just so different and just totally fangirling. And anytime you have an interaction with the bigger riders, you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is so cool. So, I mean, it's been an amazing experience so far.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then for the tradition of this series, what has been the greatest moment of your career, the hardest, and what have you learned from it?
Okay, so the greatest moment of my career, I would say, would be winning my first 5-star Grand Prix. It was a really proud moment because it was both mine and the horse's first 5-star. All the pieces had to come together perfect on the day, and everything just fell perfectly into place. You couldn't have planned it better. You know, of course, there's a bit of luck on your side, but you know, we had come there planning to jump around and see what we could do, and I definitely wasn't expecting anything close to that. So it was definitely a really big moment for myself. My hardest moment, I could name a million in the ring where I crashed and burned. But actually the moment that I would say was the toughest for me was deciding to start my own business. That was, it was so difficult to actually force myself to take that step because I knew in the back of my head that I always wanted to do it, but I kept telling myself maybe it's not the right time, you know, I don't want to do it and then not do it right. So that was definitely the hardest moment for me. And what I learned from both of those, you know, you have amazing days where you can go win a 5-star Grand Prix, and then the next you can be on the ground even. You know, the sport humbles you in so many different ways. So, you know, to go from that and then to go then starting my own business where I'm maybe not competing necessarily now in the classes that I want to be, I still have in the back of my mind my goals and aspirations of what I want to do in the future, you know, represent my country at every championship and Olympic Games that I can. So that's always what I think every day. That's my goals. So what can I do to get myself one step closer to achieving them? So every step that I've taken now has taught me everything that I know now. What would you say is one of your hardest and one of your greatest moments in your career so far?
I would say, kind of similar to yours in starting your own business, was the decision to move down here. It was definitely a big jump, moving from Minnesota to Wellington, but I think I really just learned that, you know, ambition can take you really far, and you know, you can always take a shot at it, and you know, plan A, always looking to succeed at plan A. So I think just learning about ambition from that was really great. And then another really great moment of my career was my first time at Spruce Meadows. I was jumping the 2-star that week on my mare, and you know, I wasn't expecting to jump this big on this horse ever, but went into my first ranking class and I was clear in it, and I was just thrilled. You know, I went into that class with no expectations, and then to jump a clear round over one of the biggest tracks I had done was super, super rewarding, and then ended up qualifying from that for the 2-star Grand Prix and got to make my international ring debut at Spruce, which is always a very special thing. So I think kind of similar to the lesson I learned in a different episode, I talked about this, but just trusting myself and my team that going into new situations, I know I can do it, and just allowing everything to fold out the way it's supposed to. I'm Nora Nauss.
And I'm Rinaldi.
And thank you for tuning in on today's episode of NGP Trials and Tribulations.